Can you believe this? Mobile Cuppa Joe hasn't reviewed the Sony Xperia TL yet. The phone that we used in Operation Skyfall. My god, the phone has a 1.5 GHz dual-core processor, 1GB of RAM, a 1280 by 720p HD 4.7-inch display, nice aluminum backing, excellent curved design, 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich, and more, and yet they still have not reviewed it. Even though it was used in Skyfall, the movie, and I'm kind of sounding a bit Australian now, mate. You know why? Because I'm not James Bond. I'm Joe Martin from MobileCuppaJoe.com, and we're going to review the Sony Xperia TL. I bet I fooled all of you. You thought I was James freaking Bond. Thought I was Daniel Craig there, or Sean Connery, whoever you prefer for your James Bond actor. That's who you thought I was, but I'm not. I'm really Joe, because I fooled you, because I used disguise. But we are, in fact, going to review the Sony Xperia TL. It has all the pre-mentioned specs that our friend James Bond just listed off, so let's go ahead and review this bad boy right here. But before we go any further, please go ahead and grab that coffee cup filled up right over and sit on down. Take a swig for a mobile cup of Joe.
Alright, before we get too far in this video review, I'd like to give a big thank you and shout out to our friends over at Sony Mobile for hooking us up with the Sony Mobile Xperia TL. It's because of companies like Sony Mobile that make Mobile Cuppa Joe possible by sending us their products, allowing us to unbox and review them for you guys, our fans. So big thanks to Sony for the Xperia TL, and let's get started with this review. So as with all of our reviews, we're going to start out by talking about the design and build quality of the Xperia TL. So the Xperia TL is 5.09 by 2.65 by 0.37 inches, and it weighs in at 5.22 ounces. On the front, you have your 4.6-inch screen with a pixel resolution of 1280 by 720 and 323 pixels per inch. Below that, you have your AT&T logo right here, and unlocking the screen will reveal your 3 on-screen Android navigational buttons, your back button, your home button, and your recent apps button. Going on to the top of the handset, you have your Sony logo, your 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera, and your speaker along with your light sensor. Going on to the top, you have your 3.5mm headphone jack and your microphone pinhole, and your second microphone pinhole is right there. Going on to the back, you have your 13 megapixel rear-facing camera with LED flash and your NFC tag right here. And below that, you have your Xperia logo and your speaker grill and your nice little green ball with a little silver line through it, which apparently represents an Xperia. On the left-hand side, you have your micro USB syncing/charging port. And on the right, you have this little tab right here, which opens up to reveal your SIM card and your micro SD card slot. And popping that back in, below that we have our power/lock button, volume rocker, and a dedicated camera capture button. Now, while this seems like a good idea on paper, found it very annoying to have all 3 of these buttons on one side of the device. If you just want to slide your thumb over and press one of them without having to look, it can be very confusing. I often found that when I want to just turn and change the volume on the handset, I found that I was quite frequently hitting the power button instead and locking the screen. The back of the Xperia TL is made of an aluminum design, which makes it very scratch resistant. You can drop this sucker on about anything, and you're not going to get scratched up or dinged up. Really, really like that durability aspect of the Xperia TL. The Xperia TL also has these really nicely designed curved edges, which gives it a nice little hint of elegance to the handset. Feels very great in the hand because of these curved edges. All in all, it makes it feel just very nice to hold, and this nice blend between elegance and durability ties it nice together and is a good bond between the two. James Bond and a bond between the two. I think that's one of my better puns, actually. Going for better puns now. Really liked that one. Now we're going to go ahead and go into some hardware of the Xperia TL. So for the screen, you have a 4.6-inch display with a pixel resolution of 1280 by 720 and 323 pixels per inch. While colors look nicely saturated, text was very crisp and extremely easy to read. This really only applies to when you're looking at the device head-on. If you tilt the device just the slightest bit, you are going to get some major screen distortion, and you lose quality of the resolution extremely quickly. If you want to share your screen, what you're watching, let's say you're watching a video, you want to share it with your friends, and they're not looking at the screen head on, they're not going to have a really great viewing experience. The viewing angles on the Xperia TL are actually some of the worst I've seen on a handset recently, so I was really, really disappointed with the viewing angles and the screen resolution for that aspect on the Xperia TL. Now, in terms of processing speeds on the Xperia TL, we've got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor along with 1 gigabyte of RAM. So we're going to go ahead and go into Fruit Ninja, because even James Bond has to brush up on his fruit slicing skills every now and then. In our testing, games on the Xperia TL ran just fine. You can see we're not getting any lag whatsoever on the handset. Runs very snappy. While you're not going to get quad-core ultra-fast processing speeds and 2 gigs of RAM snappiness, if snappiness is even a word, still a very, very respectable processor in here. A 1.5 gigahertz dual-core with that Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 and that gig of RAM is absolutely nothing to look down upon. Just pointing out that you're not going to get the absolute fastest processing speeds on the market, but they are still very capable. We're going to go ahead and go into Google Chrome to kind of give you an idea for how web browsing performs on the Xperia TL. Let's go ahead and go to mobilecupofjoe.com, which I know is all of you guys' favorite mobile tech journalism website. And we're going up in there. We're going to look through our articles right here. Let's go ahead and open one up about the Samsung Galaxy S4, which looks like a freaking awesome handset. And we're loading it up, or sliding through it, running just fine. We have about 2 to 3 bars of standard AT&T 4G right now, so some of the slowness is due to our poor connection currently. But in our testing, web browsing performed really great. That processor really does help out for a nice, smooth web browsing experience. And sliding through all of your home screens is a very smooth process. While you don't have Project Butter on here because you don't have Android Jelly Bean, still feels like you do. Very snappy, swiping through your applications and your home screens. Very smooth experience. Really, overall, really great on the Xperia TL. Now, in terms of cameras, you have a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera and a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera with LED flash, which absolutely rocks. Both cameras are freaking incredible. We're going to go ahead and take a quick look at some pictures I took with the rear-facing 13 megapixel rear-facing camera. Right here, you got my little baby, my little kitty Pipsy, so freaking adorable. And not sure about the name. I know that Pipsy might not be a commonly used cat name. Not sure if it's ever been used at all, but it's still the camera quality on here. Look at little Pipsy's individual hairs in her whiskers. Looks freaking incredible. Very detailed. Look at the road right here. Colors are nicely saturated. You can zoom in on the pictures and you don't lose quality really at all unless you zoom in completely. And you got a nice little vanity shot right here of a 2000 Volvo V40, which is my car, with my nice little custom MCOJ vanity plate. And another this picture of some nice little, what I believe to be radishes they are. It looks very detailed. Again, color very accurate, nicely saturated, very, very detailed. 13 megapixel cameras, breathtaking, really incredible. Now, I also like this little animation effect Sony includes with their album. Pinching to zooming on the album gives you this nice little effect right here. Looks very pretty, nice to look at. Love those little things that Sony adds and that these manufacturers add in their custom skins. Now, the Xperia TL does have LTE capabilities, but in our testing, we were only able to test out the standard 4G. Just because in my area of residency, when I had the device, I was not able to access their AT&T's LTE networks. When I've tested AT&T's LTE network before on other handsets, such as the LG Optimus G, proved to be very snappy with about 20 megabits per second download. Call quality in the Xperia TL was fantastic as well. Everyone I talked to said I sounded crystal clear, and people on our end were extremely loud and very, very easy to hear as well. Now, in terms of a battery on the Xperia TL, you have a 1,850 milliamp hour non-removable battery, which in our testing actually proved to drain quite fast. With moderate use and continuous use of texting, calling, taking pictures, browsing the web, and streaming video, only got around 7 to 7.5 hours of use, and this is with either Wi-Fi or standard 4G. And since it is non-removable, this means that you cannot pop in a spare extra battery if you do need to. So I was really disappointed, actually, with the battery life on the Xperia TL. So now we're going to go ahead and dive into some software of the Sony mobile Xperia TL. So in terms of software, you're not getting the latest version of Android. You're not even getting Jelly Bean. You're getting Android version 4.0.4 Ice Cream Sandwich, which if we can get into our software information, you can see right there. Let's go ahead and look at our fun little Easter egg. Right there over a little cute Android guy in the middle of the James Bond eye, flying through space as a little fake Nyan cat. Although you're not getting Android 4.1 Jelly Bean with all those great Jelly Bean features, really did like how Sony's own custom manufacturer user interface gives a lot of functionality to the Xperia TL. Your dock right here, you have access to your phone, messaging, browser, and camera. And your applications are listed in the middle, which look really nice, presented very clean and simple in the Xperia TL. Each application page has its own little individual page, as you can see right there when you swipe through them. Looks really nice. Now, on the lock screen with the Xperia TL, you really don't have a whole lot of options. You can slide to the left to open your camera and slide to the right to unlock the screen, like you normally would. Of course, you can unlock the screen, but sliding to the right here, you will open up your camera application. Aside from that, though, you can't open up any additional applications. You're restricted to unlocking the screen in your camera app. Now, swiping on the clock right here will give you access to a little music track player right here, which you can use to control Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, your native music player, or Google Play Music. Works with all those third-party apps. Widgets on the Xperia TL are presented nicely as well. Tapping on the weather widget will display the night weather, the day weather, and a little 3-day forecast, which is all powered by AccuWeather.com. And tapping on one of these icons will take you to your browser to AccuWeather. I really do like this nice animation effects with the widgets, presented very nicely. Also, like this little settings widget Sony includes on the Xperia TL, tapping on that will give you access to your brightness, your GPS, your auto sync, sound, roaming, NFC, all those great things, and with a nice little animation effect to go with it. In terms of quick settings on your notifications, you have access to your mobile data, sound, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and tapping on this icon right here will take you to the full settings of your handset. While you can't customize your quick settings like you can on handsets with LG's Optimus 3.0 user interface and soon to be with Samsung's TouchWiz user interface, still was really nice. Now, tapping on the recent apps icon on the Xperia TL will give you access to your recent apps like you normally would, but below that you have access to these little icons right here. So say that we go ahead and tap on this calculator icon, we are presented with a little mini calculator that pops right onto the screen. Doesn't take us into the calculator application, remains on our home screen, and we can go into our Google Keep application, we can slide through the rest of our home screen, doesn't have to leave it, and the calculator is fully functional. These are called mini widgets, and you can launch any of these. You can even launch your camera app and still perform all functions on your handset like you normally would. So say you're on Gmail typing up a message and you see a cat eating a ham and cheese sandwich, you have to take a picture but you don't have time to hop into your camera app and you can't leave your Gmail app. Go use your mini widget, hop right in. Very, very cool feature, and I absolutely loved it. Now, since this phone is the one that was featured in James Bond's Skyfall, you have access to a lot of preloaded James Bond content on the handset. Going into your gallery, you have some clips of little trailers and behind-the-scenes footage of Skyfall, along with some still images from the phone. You can see here we have the little James Bond eye as our wallpaper, and if you go into your Xperia wallpapers, you have access to 3 James Bond 3 wallpapers, which are really nice if you want to get your James Bond on. So let's go ahead and set this up Bond Girl as our wallpaper, because those Bond girls are always really easy on the eyes when you're watching the movies. So it's really nice to have that James Bond content. You also have access to some preloaded James Bond ringtones, which really make this phone feel like one Bond of a device. That wasn't even a good pun at all. I don't think that was a pun, really, either. But we're going to be giving the Sony Xperia TL an 8 out of 10. Well, this handset is really awesome. You're getting a really nice durability, feels very premium, breathtaking cameras, really like the custom skin Sony layered over it, and it has snappy processors. You will have to deal with the poor viewing angles, the odd design with all 3 navigational buttons on the right side, and the very short battery life. But for the price of free with a tier contract and AT&T, depending on where you pick it up, this is a fantastic deal and is truly James Bond worthy. So that's all the time we have for this episode of Mobile Cup of Joe. Please feel free to leave your thoughts about our review in the comments below, and that's all the time we have. If you liked the video, please go ahead and hit the like button if you liked it. It takes 1 second to do so. It really does help support the show, and if you want to show your support towards the show even more, I'd really appreciate it if you go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more Mobile Cup of Joe videos. And you guys all know the Mobile Cup of Joe. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter for the latest Mobile Cup of Joe news, and go to www.mobilecupofjoe.com for the latest latest in technology news. I'm Joe Martin from MobileCupOfJoe.com. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. And remember, take your martinis shaken, not stirred. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.